People often feel like openness is the same as honesty, but the truth is you can be completely honest without being completely open. When it comes to money, especially as you grow older, your financial details are something that can quickly become dangerous in the wrong hands. The more you tell people about what you make, what you've saved, or what you've inherited, the more they start looking at you through a different lens. Instead of seeing you for who you are, they see you as a number, as an opportunity, as a resource. And once you've given them that information, you can never take it back. Financial privacy is one of the strongest shields you have, and giving it away is like walking outside without any protection. Older women especially face a unique challenge when it comes to sharing financial details, because the world sometimes assumes that vulnerability comes with age. There are people who listen closely not because they care, but because they're calculating. They want to know what you have, how much you own, and what they might be able to get from you. Even loved ones can shift their expectations when they know the numbers, and suddenly you find yourself in conversations that feel less like support and more like subtle pressure. Protecting those details is not selfish, it's smart. Because once people know your situation, they adjust their behavior towards you in ways that aren't always in your best interest. Think about it like this. When you tell someone your salary, your savings, or your retirement fund, you're giving them a roadmap to your boundaries. They know exactly how far they can push, exactly what they can ask for, and exactly what you might feel obligated to provide. People rarely forget financial information, and they often bring it back up in moments where you least expect it. They may try to guilt you into helping, they may compare your situation to theirs, or they may use it as leverage in arguments. Keeping that information private allows you to maintain control over your choices without the extra weight of someone else's expectations. Another reason to keep financial details hidden is because money often changes relationships. You might have a friend who has been nothing but supportive for years, but the second they find out you have more than they expected, resentment creeps in. They start questioning why you can't do more for them, why you can't give more, or why you choose to spend in certain ways. It's not that they're bad people, it's that money naturally shifts how people think, even unconsciously. You deserve relationships that are built on who you are, not on what you have in your account, and the only way to protect that is to hold back those details. There's also the risk of being underestimated when you reveal too much. Some people might hear that you don't have as much as they thought, and instead of respecting your situation, they start to judge. They may treat you as if you're incapable, as if you don't know how to manage, or as if your worth is tied directly to what's in your wallet. That judgment can eat away at your confidence and create unnecessary tension. Keeping financial details hidden gives you the space to be seen for your wisdom, your experiences, and your choices, rather than being reduced to a number someone else decides defines you. It's also about your peace of mind. The less people know, the less you have to defend, explain, or justify. You won't have to sit through questions about why you spent on something they wouldn't, or why you didn't give in a moment they thought you should. You won't have to feel like your life is under constant evaluation based on how you use your money. Financial privacy creates freedom, and freedom is what allows you to live life on your terms without second-guessing yourself through the eyes of others. The reality is, not everyone needs to know what you make, what you save, or what you're planning financially, because not everyone has earned that level of trust. Some things belong to you alone, and those details are among the most important. Your financial health is like your personal health, private, delicate, and deserving of respect, and when you protect it, you're not shutting people out. You're simply keeping yourself safe from a world that too often measures value in numbers instead of character. Regret is one of those emotions that can quietly follow you for years, and as you grow older, those regrets can sometimes feel heavier because you've had more time to think about what you could have done differently. But the truth is, not every regret is meant to be shared with the world. There are people who will listen not to comfort you, but to use your vulnerability against you. The moment you open up about your deepest regrets, you hand over a piece of yourself that can't be taken back. Some people will replay it, remind you of it, or twist it in conversations that leave you feeling exposed. And instead of bringing you closer, it creates distance and mistrust. Older women often carry regrets that come from choices made for family, relationships, or careers. And while those regrets may feel heavy, they don't need to become a weapon in someone else's hands. Sharing your deepest regrets with everyone doesn't lighten the load. It sometimes adds more weight because people feel entitled to comment, judge, or lecture. They may say they understand, but behind their words, there might be judgment about why you did what you did. And those judgments have a way of cutting deeper when they're aimed at something you already struggle with inside. Protecting those regrets from public view is an act of self-respect, because not everyone has the maturity or the care to hold them properly. It's also important to remember that regrets are personal lessons. They are reminders of the paths you walked, the choices you made, and the wisdom you've gained along the way. They are not public stories for entertainment or gossip. When you share them too openly, they lose that sacredness and become something for others to analyze. Instead of focusing on what you've learned, people focus on what went wrong, and that can overshadow the growth you've achieved. By keeping those regrets private, you preserve them as part of your journey rather than handing them over to people who don't understand the depth of what you've lived. Sometimes people confuse vulnerability with transparency, thinking they must reveal every regret in order to be authentic. But authenticity isn't about telling everyone everything. It's about being true to yourself. You can acknowledge your regrets without turning them into stories for the world. You can learn from them, grow from them, and still keep them guarded. The most powerful part of a regret is the lesson it teaches, not the details of the mistake. Sharing that lesson without exposing the wound allows you to stay strong and dignified while still offering wisdom to others who might need it. There is also the danger that when you reveal your regrets, people start defining you by them. They remember that one decision, that one mistake, and they hold it up as if it represents your entire life. No one deserves to be defined by their lowest moments, and no one deserves to have their growth ignored because of a choice they made years ago. Keeping your regrets to yourself protects you from being boxed in by people's narrow view of your story. It gives you the freedom to move forward without being pulled back by someone else's memory of your past. Regrets also have a way of making people pity you, and pity is not respect. When people pity you, they stop seeing your strength, your resilience, and your wisdom. They see only the mistake, the loss, or the moment you wish you could change, and that weakens how they interact with you. They might treat you differently, as though you need saving or fixing, when in reality you've already done the work of moving forward. By holding back your deepest regrets, you protect yourself from being treated as less capable than you are. At the end of the day, regrets are part of your private story, and privacy is not a weakness, it's power. The world doesn't need to know every misstep to see your worth, and not everyone deserves the privilege of holding the most fragile pieces of your heart. You can acknowledge that regrets exist without letting them define you, and when you choose to keep them hidden, you're choosing to honor your growth and protect your peace in a way that allows you to keep living without carrying the weight of other people's opinions about the things you wish had gone differently. Family is one of the most sacred parts of life, but it is also one of the most complicated. Every family has disagreements, misunderstandings, and conflicts that play out behind closed doors. The mistake many people make is thinking that sharing those private struggles with outsiders will bring relief or understanding, when in reality it often brings judgment and gossip. Once you put your family's struggles in the hands of others, you lose control of how that story is told and how it is remembered. People don't always forget what you've said, and long after you've moved on from the conflict, they may still look at your family through the lens of that one moment. Older women in particular often feel the weight of being peacemakers, carrying family conflicts on their shoulders and sometimes venting those frustrations to others as a way of coping. But the danger in letting too much out is that people can begin to see your family differently. They may form opinions about your children, your spouse, or your relatives based on what they've heard, and those opinions rarely fade. What was a temporary disagreement in your home can turn into a permanent label in someone else's mind, and instead of finding support, you find that others are now treating the people you love differently. Protecting family conflicts from outside eyes keeps the dignity of your loved ones intact and prevents outsiders from making judgments. They have no place making. Family disagreements are often emotional, and when emotions run high, it's easy to share more than you intended. But once those words are out, you can't pull them back in. You may later forgive a family member, rebuild that relationship, and move forward. But the person you shared the story with may not forgive as easily as you did. They may hold on to that image of your family member and use it to question your choices or your loyalty. Suddenly, the people closest to you are defined by their worst moments, not by the love and commitment that actually make up your family. Keeping those conflicts hidden protects not only your peace, but also the possibility of reconciliation without outside interference. There is also the danger of giving people ammunition they were never meant to have. Some individuals take what you share in confidence and pass it along to others, sometimes twisting the story to make it more dramatic or entertaining. The family conflict you thought you were confiding about in private can become exaggerated rumors that reach ears you never wanted to hear them. What begins as a venting session can end with unnecessary damage to reputations and relationships. By keeping family struggles within the walls of your home, you keep control over your story and prevent others from turning it into something you never intended. Even well-meaning people can create harm when they hear about your family conflicts. They may try to give advice, but advice often comes with criticism. They may try to insert themselves into the situation, but their presence can make things worse instead of better. Sometimes the best thing you can do is work through those conflicts privately with the people directly involved without inviting an audience. When you allow outsiders to weigh in on family matters, you give them influence over decisions they shouldn't have a say in, and that influence can strain relationships even further. Family conflicts are also tied deeply to trust. If your children or relatives know that every disagreement might become a story you share with others, they will hesitate to open up to you in the future. They may begin to guard their words or shut you out entirely, fearing that their mistakes will become gossip. Protecting the privacy of family struggles builds trust, and trust is what allows your loved ones to keep coming to you, even when things are difficult. That trust is worth far more than the temporary relief of talking to outsiders about what's going wrong. At the core, keeping family conflicts private is about protecting what matters most. Families are not perfect, but they are yours, and the struggles within them are part of the bond that only those on the inside can truly understand. By refusing to expose those conflicts to outsiders, you give your family the space to heal, grow, and rebuild without the noise of outside opinions. You protect the dignity of the people you love and preserve the sacredness of your relationships, reminding yourself that not every struggle is meant to be shared and not every story deserves an audience. Insecurities are a part of being human, but the mistake many people make is believing that every insecurity needs to be revealed in order to connect with others. The truth is, when you openly share your deepest insecurities with people who haven't earned that trust, you give them power over you that they never should have. Not everyone knows how to handle your vulnerabilities with care, and some people will use them to criticize, diminish, or control you. For older women, insecurities often come from natural changes in appearance, ability, or role in life, and exposing those feelings to the wrong audience can make them heavier instead of lighter. Guarding your insecurities doesn't mean pretending they don't exist. It means protecting them until you are in a safe space to process them without judgment. The world can be harsh, and sometimes even those closest to you can unintentionally make you feel smaller when you reveal what you're insecure about. They might dismiss it, joke about it, or brush it aside without realizing how deeply it affects you. What feels like a passing comment to them can echo in your mind for weeks. That is why it is important to be selective about who you share those tender parts of yourself with. Some people are not equipped to lift you up when you reveal your vulnerabilities, and instead of support, you walk away feeling more exposed than before. Holding back those insecurities from the wrong ears allows you to maintain control over your confidence and keep your sense of self intact. Another reason to hide insecurities from everyone is because not everyone deserves access to the private battles you fight. Insecurities are often tied to identity, self-worth, and value, and they are some of the most intimate parts of who you are. When you give people access to them too freely, you risk being seen through the lens of those insecurities rather than through the strength and wisdom you carry. People can start to treat you based on what you've admitted to feeling weak about, and instead of respecting your resilience, they unconsciously box you in by those words. Protecting your insecurities ensures that you are defined by your actions and your growth, not by the doubts you hold inside. Insecurities also have a way of growing when they are given too much air. Talking about them with people who are not supportive can make them feel bigger and more permanent. You may begin to see yourself through the eyes of others, and if those eyes are critical, your insecurities deepen instead of fade. By keeping them close, you give yourself the chance to challenge them privately, to build resilience, and to strengthen the areas of your life where you feel most vulnerable. Confidence is not built by exposing every insecurity. It is built by choosing carefully when and where you reveal them, and by not giving them to people who will use them to define you. For older women especially, the world already tries to highlight insecurities that come with age. Whether it's physical appearance, changing roles in society, or fears about being overlooked, these insecurities can be magnified by the outside world. The last thing you need is to hand those same insecurities over to people who may not understand or who may reinforce them with careless words. Keeping them hidden does not make you weak, it makes you wise, because you know that not every thought or feeling deserves an audience. You learn to separate what is safe to share from what needs to remain within your own heart until it is fully healed. There is also a strength that comes from carrying yourself with confidence even when you feel insecure inside. When you choose not to expose those insecurities, you project an image of self-assurance that others respond to with respect. People are less likely to question you, undermine you, or treat you as fragile when you do not feed their perception with details about what you struggle with. This doesn't mean you have to hide who you are. It means you are choosing to let your strength speak louder than your doubt. Protecting your insecurities from the public eye allows you to live from your strengths instead of being defined by your weaknesses. Ultimately, insecurities are personal and private, and keeping them hidden from the wrong people is a form of self-care. You do not need to prove your authenticity by exposing the most delicate parts of your soul to those who haven't earned that trust. By holding them back, you maintain your dignity, your confidence, and your peace. You protect your energy from being drained by the wrong reactions, and you remind yourself that some things are meant to be worked through quietly, in your own time, until you are ready to step forward stronger than before. Insecurities are a part of being human, but the mistake many people make is believing that every insecurity needs to be revealed in order to connect with others. The truth is, when you openly share your deepest insecurities with people who haven't earned that trust, you give them power over you that they never should have. Not everyone knows how to handle your vulnerabilities with care, and some people will use them to criticize, diminish, or control you. For older women, insecurities often come from natural changes in appearance, ability, or role in life, and exposing those feelings to the wrong audience can make them heavier instead of lighter. Guarding your insecurities doesn't mean pretending they don't exist. It means protecting them until you are in a safe space to process them without judgment. The world can be harsh, and sometimes even those closest to you can unintentionally make you feel smaller when you reveal what you're insecure about. They might dismiss it, joke about it, or brush it aside without realizing how deeply it affects you. What feels like a passing comment to them can echo in your mind for weeks. That is why it is important to be selective about who you